And it's later now. Welcome, guys. It's Crocklet, and today we're going to be talking about OCs and making OCs and fan OCs. Hey guys, so last video I was talking about how we were going to start this journey of me documenting my journey into making comics and other art-based projects this year. But I do want to cover just some general things so that you guys can take back some stuff to use for yourselves. And so for the first video, we're going to work on something general. We're going to be talking about OCs, fan OCs, and some questions that I see here and there from like some of the Reddits or other OC circles that I'm in when a new person comes in and they have a question about it. So I just want to cover some general things and those stuff that I saw along the way. And I gotta thank the people from Reddit, the OC Reddit, for allowing me to use some of their OCs as references. So their names are going to be on with the images that you see. Some of them I may just be putting there as like stock images for that moment in which I'm talking about. Other times I might actually name drop them and actually have a little bit more to say about it. But yeah, that's basically how we're going. So let's do this. First off, we're going to talk about something that I assume most of you already know if you're clicking on this video. What is an OC and what is a fan OC? A OC character, well, I say OC character, it's like basically saying original character. An OC is an original character, a character that comes out of your mind. So a fan OC is a character that comes out of your mind, but based off of a already existing franchise. OCs can be absolutely anything that you can imagine. The limit is only on what you can actually think of. That's basically it. And when it comes to like fan OCs, you can have some limitations on that with using the source material that you have, which in itself adds some more fun to the OC making process. You're going to be finding like there's people who prefer to be using something that already exists or making their own stuff. It's still making their own stuff, but in a different way. Just using a template that's already there. Here's Ogie Pogie. He's my character that I made for my Ogie Pogie webcomic. He's a sea serpent cryptid, and he's completely just from my mind. But I also have these characters that I made back when I was in high school, Mammy Siegfried, as well as Hive the Scorpion, which were OCs for Sonic the Hedgehog. And I would use them for, like, I think the website was called Pro Forms. You can make your own form websites. And a lot of people use them for, like, role-playing games and stuff like that. That's what I would have used my fan characters for. Something I was asked in person by somebody who's, like, really into sports. They just do their 9-to-5 jobs. They don't really have time for really much hobbies, and as far as I know, they don't even read books or be like keeping track of like shows or whatnot. They're very like in the moment. They go out and do stuff. They do not have any interest in anything fictional, fictitious, or anything like that, and they don't understand why somebody will use their time to let's say draw a picture or like write a comic book or write a story. And they were basically just asking me like, why would anybody make an OC or make a character, make up people that don't exist and then write stories about them? They have no interest in that, and they don't understand, which I have to tell them like there's plethora of reasons. It's like, why does anybody do anything? Like, it could be like just for fun. People play sports, people play video games, but though even video games, they don't understand the concept of that, like they're wanting to do that. It's yeah, no. So so even I'm questioning like, how do you go on? Because like for me, like artistic things are so instilled since I was like a little kid, and playing games and like hey, I play sports. I don't know, just living life and doing stuff is fun. So like other things that you gotta consider when why people make OCs would be like an outlet for emotions or thought. Maybe they have like something they want to get off their chest, or like they never saw something being done already in somebody else's work or media that they're like, oh, I want to do that. I don't see it, so I want to put that out there. Another thing would be like they might have a story to tell. They might not be like passionate within the characters, but they might be passionate on the story itself. And then you need characters to push that story, right? To relate. Maybe the relating to their character could be them having actually a persona that they put into this character. Like that character is them, but in this fictional world they made. Or they might notice that they don't relate to somebody in any series as well as other people not relating to anybody that much, so they want to make that character that people can relate to. There could be just like no reason, and then which I guess like no reason could equal just fun. Like you just do it because like when I was a kid, I wasn't even thinking that I was creating stories or stuff like that. I was making OCs since I was like 6. My first OC was like when I was 6. And like, I didn't think of it like that. I just did. It just blurbed out of my mouth and like, okay, it exists now. Conceptually. It could just be that. You could say that's just fun then. Fan fiction for like fan OCs, they could be appearing in like fanfic work, like like some sort of comic that they might be making. Maybe just they might just do fan art and add their fan character in it. They might have a story written out kind of fanfic. They might use it for like, as I said before, like role playing. They may use their OCs or their fan OCs for role playing. And at the end of the day, there's like a plethora, endless amount on why people do it. They might do it for different reasons. Heck, some people might just make them for like adoptables. They might just be doing it for money. They might just be doing it for all that. For me, I like the idea of the character. The character is my thing. I'm passionate for them and the way they react and go through the motions on what's happening in their world. It's not that I'm telling a story. I'm telling their story and what they're doing about it. And I used to take theater classes and like do theater and acting and auditions and stuff like that. And one of the big things in rehearsing and practicing was like improv. And the strategies we would use is like to really like method acting, basically. Like you really get into the character and then you react to the moment with improv to what that character would do. Is like you have to like disassociate yourself, basically. And when it comes to writing a character, I try my best to make the character write themselves. You have to really consider like what they would do, and something I really like is when the universe kind of writes the character. That's my favorite thing. That's when I know everything's going well. Common question that I see asked from new people that are joining like the OC areas is, how do you make an OC? Some of them are like still young and they're just getting into it, and others are like young adults who they have no experience in writing stories or like creating a character. They might already have abilities to draw and they might have drawn existing things, but when it comes to like actually creating a character that they would consistently draw and might have their own lore, they have no experience in that. Biggest thing I would say is like be confident in what idea you might come across. The biggest advantage a young like kid, high schooler has above like older artists would be that whimsy and confidence in their ideas. I used to be hammering out like OCs constantly. I had such long ideas of stories and manuscripts and all these things already done. And it's been harder when I got older, when I have more concepts of like criticism and worries and real life like things going on. It makes it a lot more difficult to put that stuff down there. But what I'm saying is like, yes, a young person might have like some bad ideas. They might be cringy and all that. But the thing is, they have the confidence to at least put that on paper or put it down digitally or whatever. And then, even if it's not perfect, it's not supposed to be perfect the first time. That's the thing also. Like, people assume that what they make first has to be perfect, and that's why they might be hesitant or not even know how to make a character. You can always alter it. Just put something down initially, see how you feel with it, use them a little bit for something maybe, alter out some colors, like find some inspiration, which is easy. It's easy to say find some inspiration when some people might have a really hard time doing that. But it's really like reading yourself, like where your mindset is at the moment. Listen to some music, see what lyrics stick out to you, what genre sticks out to you. Maybe you want to make a character based off of a certain mood. Inspiration can come in so many ways. Maybe you like stubborn characters, like in Naruto, like the character Naruto. He's really stubborn. Maybe you're like, I want a character who's stubborn as well. It's not like stealing. It's stubborn. No one owns being a stubborn person. It's just using some inspiration of somewhere else to drive that spark to make your character. Maybe play a video game. When I was... Okay, so there's these two characters I'll use as an inspiration here. So I have a character named Springs. I've made him when I was 6. He's my oldest OC, like the consistent OC. And I haven't used him in a while, but I did update his drawing lately. And he was inspired off of video games that I would be playing. Like Super Mario World, Mario 64, Kirby 64 was a big one. The bouncy enemies in there, I'm pretty sure was what drove me to make this spring-like looking character. The Rayman 3, Rayman 2, and Rayman 1. The Rayman series in general was a big inspiration to it. But Springs wasn't a OC for any of those. It's just a platformer was the main inspiration that I got for it because I wanted to make Springs a video game at the time. Another one would be this character named Axeman, made by External Sky 5554 from the OC Reddit. Now, at first glance, I thought this was a Cuphead OC, but that was my big mistake. That was my mistake on that one. He is not. He's his own thing, but he is definitely inspired by Cuphead. So it's not like it's a fan OC for the Cuphead series, but it's a character who was driven and inspired by it. Animals could be great inspirations. It doesn't need to be an anthropomorphic character you make. It could just be a character with some cat-like aspects to it. There's a lot of anime characters who are themed off of a cat but aren't really a cat. You can make a character who has an animal as their sidekick. You can make a character based off of an assortment of colors. Concepts. Okay, this is a big one. The 7 Deadly Sins. That is a common trope to use as characters, like bosses of a game, or like Full Metal Alchemist. There's the line of the 7 Deadly Sin characters, and the character is designed based off of the themes of those sins. You got gluttony, you got lust, you got wrath, you got all of those, and they manifested in those concepts as a character. Another one is Nights into Dreams, the Sega Saturn game. I love the method that they use to making some of these characters. There's a person named Carl Jung, and he was really big in like dream theory, and he created some concepts. There was a archetype he made called the Shadow. Nights, the main character of the game, is based off of this archetype. There's no visualization of the archetypes, but they use the definitions and descriptions of all that to manifest these characters into a physical thing. Nights is based off of the Shadow archetype in Carl Jung's theory. The Shadow is meant to be this rebellious side, this unknown part of your brain, of your subconscious, and you might not even know about that aspect about yourself. Nights isn't necessarily good, not necessarily evil. Nights just basically does what Nights does. And another thing, this is just me, but like shadows aren't really gendered. They're just like dark silhouettes, right? Nights in the series is also not identified as male, female, or anything. Nights was meant to be whatever the player perceives. And So I find that very appropriate to the concept of the shadow. The boy and girl characters, Clarice and Elliot, they're based off of the masculine and feminine aspects of your psyche. And there was even a cut character, a boss, named Self. And there was an archetype of Self, which is your subconscious and your conscience and all yourself into one, your whole self. That is what that archetype is. We don't know what that character would have looked like, but the factor is that these characters were based off of just ideas. And that's just fantastic. You can also be like Mr. Man or whatever the thing was called and like base them off of emotions and shapes. OCs come with a variety of purposes. Kind of like what I was saying with like, why do people make them? It really goes back to that as well. It's like, what is your purpose of your OC? Is it to make a comic? Is it just for images? Is it like, what are you doing? Are you goon baiting? Like, what is your OC for? You gotta figure that out. Another thing people do when creating OCs, if they figure out how to make the OC, they'll use like reference sheets. Like this character, I love this character, Lumina. Lumina is a fantastic character. She has this reference sheet here, and a lot of people, I don't, I should, have these very neat setups where they just show off their character in this aspect. And it just breaks the character down even deeper so you can get the full aspect of what the character is. And I love how it shows how the fins and the tail and like how they light up and stuff like that. It goes in a lot of detail. And just reading other people's reference sheets like this might give you some inspiration. Like, I want to be like that. And the last thing I could say about like how you make them, it could be like knowing your purpose. Like, why do you want to make this character? Do you want to make it just for like a character to be in recurring images? Do you want to make a comic? Do you want to make a story about him? Do you want to like make this a huge like sticker brand? Like, what is the purpose that you're looking for in making a character? When you find your purpose, you can find their purpose, and it should help you in the long run on starting it up. Just so you know where you're going. Another question I see a lot would be like, are fan OCs okay? People feel sometimes hesitant to share fan OCs because often people find fan OC characters like cringy. I find that really started with like certain fandoms where some characters can get a little too much. And I should know, I was in the Sonic fandom. There's nothing wrong with a fan OC. As I said, I had these Sonic OCs. I had Mammy, and I also had Hive the Scorpion. I even turned some of my regular OCs into Sonic OCs for the sake of it for an RP. Here's Carlos and Buff Ben as Sonic characters. But you have people, I'm not even familiar with this series, but the Backwards House. Here's a character that was shared from Enchanted 11 of a character from that franchise. And even fan OCs can get like the treatment of having like a little reference sheet with descriptors and stuff like that. Like, that's not just for regular OCs. Like, every kind of OC can do that. Any artist could just do that. You can do that about like inanimate objects, like weapons and stuff like that. I would say know your purpose, again, with fan OCs. Like, is this just for fun? What are you expecting to do with these? My thing is, like, I find it, like, there's been 3 times in real life where I've encountered somebody who wanted to actually publish their fan work, where there's nothing wrong with wanting to, like, let's say, get hired by Sega or Nintendo, but thinking that they're going to give you the reins to make a full story with their franchise, and then you can just add your characters in there, that's a whole different can of worms right there. And I noticed the Sonic comics, they've been adding a lot of these comic exclusive characters, and I'm curious if any of them were fan OCs beforehand by some of these artists. I could totally see a Sonic artist doing that, but I have no information on that if that's actually a thing. But I'm just being realistic. Like, there's nothing wrong with having a end goal and stuff like that, but when it comes to the people that I've encountered, I'll give you an example. This one guy had like a whole idea for like a card game, right? And the idea was to put like, let's say, Dragon Balls as a card, like straight up just an image of the Dragon Balls. And then they would add also like images of like Sonic the Hedgehog character. It always goes back to Sonic. I always go back to Sonic. Goku was in there as a card. It was literally just images of stolen fan art and all this thing, and they're trying to make it and like print it. I'm like, dude, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's not how it works. And then they're like, okay, I'll have it commissioned. I'm like, no, you can't do that. And there's also circumstances with some of these individuals, but like, I'm meaning this. Don't think you could just take people's stuff and just like call it yours and then publish it without getting any permission, or like at least try and get hired by the company and pitch an idea for them to maybe say yes or decline you. Like, come on. I mean, 3 people I've met had ideas like this, and it just completely threw me off. I haven't seen them on the computer though. So maybe they were trolling. I have no idea. I was baffled by those ones. But like, just imagine this. I have a character. His name is El Goombero, and he works on Delfino Island. He's a Goomba. This is a Mario fan OC, by the way. And he wears a straw hat. He has a big mustache, and he works at a snack shack on the beach of Isle Delfino. And he has this roommate who also works at the shack, who is a stoner-coated Pianta, who is neglected by all the other Piantas and only is accepted by this one Goomba that just got off the boat and moved there and doesn't know about his troubled past. And so I have this idea, and then I go to Illuminations and I go to Nintendo and be like, I got this movie idea. Now, if I made this as a fan animation, I wish I could. This sounds like a great idea. I just randomly made this off the top of my head. I would love this as an actual thing. I would love it as a fan thing. But I'm not going to be expecting myself to go to Illuminations and Nintendo to be all like, hey, yo, here's my story. Let's make some money. It's not really going to happen. But, you know what, maybe... Damn, maybe that guy with the card game was onto something. I mean, this no, it's like, just be realistic with what you're working with. I don't want to step. I'm rambling right now because I don't want to step on anyone's toes if they have like a dream of working at a company. Just figure out what your purpose is and then find the right steps to get what you want to do. That's the big thing, because I think a lot of these people, when they tell me about it, they don't actually have the steps in mind. So when they tell me their idea of doing that, it just sounds so convoluted and like and like crazy. So maybe that's the case. The last thing I'd say here is like the concept of unfanning an OC. Someone was asking this: should they unfan their OC? Again, it's like with all OCs, it's all happen. Like, what's the purpose? Like, what's your end goal on what you want? But I think that's just like with everything in general. Like, what do you want? I personally have unfanned my OCs. My passion project, Kunsai, name gonna probably be changing now, used to be a Izuna the Unemployed Ninja fan comic I was gonna make. Izuna the Unemployed Ninja is a DS game. They have 2 games for the DS. And it's based in feudal Japan. It's about ninjas who are unemployed. Izuna and Shino live with their grandfather, Gen An, and some other ninja guys in a village. And my OC characters that I made for it was a villainous gang that was showing up and then just gonna disrupt things. I have 2 female characters in that group, Keshi and Zensetsu, and I drew them with slight comparisons to what Shino and Izuna are. They're supposed to be counterparts, 2 best friends on opposite sides, and then later on Keshi and Zensetsu go to the other side, the good side. And I loved all the OCs that I made in this so much that I'm like, what? I don't want these to just be entangled in this fanfic I'm doing. I'm going to make this into my own comic. And that's why Keshi, Zensetsu, and like all the other characters that in my comic at the beginning are still villains. I never changed that, and I thought that was such a real good way to have a spin on my story. Was the first beginning being the perspective of the villains of an anime or of a manga. So this originated all from being a Izuna fanfic, and some of the characters' old styles of like, they had these transformation sequences, very similar to the transformations that were in Izuna's bosses. The samurai that I had was inspired by the samurai in that game, but they're not copies or clones. It's just I tried to make themings that kind of matched the scenario. The transformations weren't even the same. They had their own transformation. It was just a concept of, okay, the bosses in each Izuna game, they have a second form they can turn into. So that's what I did with these villains in this group, because I was still having that dungeon crawler mindset with the story. So I'm like, okay, I'll give them these aspects to correspond with that's in that game. And so that's how I unfanned them. There's a series called Freedom Planet. I had the game for the Wii U, and it was heavily inspired by Sonic the Hedgehog. But it wasn't just that. It was originally going to be a Sonic the Hedgehog fan game, and then it evolved into its own thing. There's similar shapes to what a Sonic character is, but so much of it is different now. And I think it's far better now being its own thing rather than being that fan game, and it could expand itself way more than what it was before. So I do think, like, if you want to do something big with your OCs and their fan OCs, you can unfan them. Make what you love about that series they came from, but in a different way that is true to you and true to the characters that you made. Or you can just get into your own fan projects and work from there. Maybe like fan animations of some sort. Because Mashed, they do some great fan work and animations and all that. So maybe something like that. This character here, this is interesting. This character is called Anime, and they're made by Time Pin 8129. And this character here used to be a Total Drama Island OC, but then later got converted into a Sonic OC. So you can convert fan OCs into other fan OCs. I didn't even think about that. And I just think that's really fun. And like a lot of these characters here that I showed between, I didn't delve too deep into them, but you have like some very, like, you can go crazy with like making your own characters. Like this character made by Important Task. I've already showed some of these pictures here, but like I can't draw mechs. I can't do that. So I spot, like, whenever I see it, I get so hyped when I see a really cool detailed one like this character. This one is sick. There's also like this very unique character, which their name is Beth. I can't read the person's name, Kinixo, but the character's name is Beth, and it's like I believe it's a living house manifested into a living form, and it's very unique. It's really cute. I love the character, and you got all these other ones, like you're endless designs that you can do with making a character, and it's not even too limited when you do a fan character. You can still go outside the box with it a little bit. The only thing limited is your imagination and what you're willing to do. So in the end of the day, I want to say just try your best to get something on that paper. Try your best to just manifest something visual. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time around. Very rarely does it do that. So as long as you have something you can visually see, you can alter it as many times as you want. There's no time frame in which you can do it. Never too late. You just get it down on there, be confident, even if it's a little cringy, even if you don't like some aspects about it, just put it down there, alter it along the way. Because just like your ability into drawing or writing a story, your character's going to evolve along with you evolving. There's no such thing as a bad OC. Wait. No. No. No.
I hate it here.